Okay, today we're going to walk through the entire process of installing Centro and setting up your first nudge. In this case, we'll do a dashboard from Salesforce to Slack nudge, and we'll walk you through all the steps in doing that here with Centro. So after you start your first day, your 14-day trial, you fill out this form. You'll be brought to this page. Where you'll get links to install the Slack app and the Salesforce app. There's two sides to the Centro application. So one is a Slack app and one's a Salesforce app. So we'll walk through how to install both of those. First, we'll start with Slack. Just hit add to Slack here. It'll ask you where to install Centro. If you're using multiple workspaces, you'll see them here in this upper right list. Since I only have one, we'll just pick the default. But if you're in Enterprise Grid, make sure to reach out to us so we can help you through that process if you get stuck. So we'll hit allow, and this will, in Slack, add a new app to our homepage. Okay, so in Slack now we can see the Centro app has been added, and you should see a screen that looks like this. So just as a quick aside, if you ever need help through the process, you can always send our team a message in the messages tab and say, help. You can see we do post you a link to book a call with us or the documents, but if you ever need direct help from our team, if you just press help, someone from the Centro team will get back to you. So that's a little bit about in-app messaging help, but let's go start getting our dashboards set up here. So the first thing we want to do next is actually install the Salesforce app. So let's go do that. Let's go back to our apps link, and we'll hit install in production. If you're in Sandbox, make sure to hit that. I've got a clean Salesforce org here, so we'll do in production. And we'll use our password to log in. And this is going to add a new app to the Salesforce org, where I want to pick install for admins only. Go ahead and grant access. And then this will take a few minutes. So I'm going to pause the recording, but when we come back, I'll show you what this looks like on the Salesforce side. Okay, once Salesforce is completed installing the Centro app, you can come start configuring the permissions for Centro on the Salesforce side. So you'll notice you'll get a trial that should last for 14 days. And one of the first things I would probably do is come into manage licenses and add users to the Centro app that you want to play around with. So that's from the installed packages, like an entitlement process for the Centro app. You can always find that under installed packages. If you start typing installed there, you can get back to the Centro app here. The next thing we want to do is set up the permission set. And we ship a few permission sets. You're going to want to add under the Centro admin any Salesforce admins you want to help administer Centro. We want Centro user for any end users that's going to use the app. And so to go into this, you can come into Centro user, hit manage assignments, add assignment, hit your person, and then assign. The same thing can be done for this video. We're going to use the Centro nudges feature. So we'll come into the Centro nudges permission set, manage assignments, add your people, next, and assign. Okay, so now let's go to the Centro app in Salesforce, and we're going to see a this setup screen. And this, because we haven't done it yet, should say install. What I'm going to do is you can go ahead and click this, or you can, from the Slack side, we want to first establish a connection between Slack and Salesforce. We haven't done that yet. These two, this workspace and the Salesforce org, do not know about each other until we do this action. So if we hit automation user is a very popular feature of ours that allows connecting some of our tooling to allow for non-licensed Salesforce users to do Salesforce actions inside of Slack. So it's going to ask for permission. We'll go ahead and hit allow. And that should establish a connection here. And once I do that, if we come back to the Salesforce side, you'll see this change from install to disconnect. Don't press this button, but seeing that it shows disconnect means that the Salesforce org and the Slack workspace are in fact connected. Great, so now let's go to the nudges tab in Salesforce. And let's create a new nudge. This nudge is going to send a dashboard to Slack. Okay, so we'll hit save. And let's first examine the dashboard we want to use. So I'll leave this tab open and then come look at dashboards. Okay, so this is a not a great example, but the out-of-box example from Salesforce about a dashboard. We'll use this one just as an example, but you can use any dashboard in your system. So if we look back at our nudge, what it's going to ask here is when do we want to fire this nudge? When it's a record is changed or on a schedule? Because dashboards aren't necessarily a record in Salesforce, but rather a type of report, we're going to hit on a schedule. And we can choose our delivery schedule. So we want to pick weekly or daily. We'll pick weekly starting on, say, Fridays in the morning. Now the trick I would recommend doing here is coordinating your delivery of the dashboard into Slack with the refresh in Salesforce. So if I hit subscribe here, we can see I can schedule the refresh for Friday, and maybe I want to set this just before we send it out to Slack, because it would be nice to have the dashboard nice and clean before we and refresh before we send it off to Slack. So make sure to set up your subscription appropriately just before you set it up in your nudge. And then we come to notification style. We'll hit dashboard, and we'll hit the company performance dashboard. And then we pick where it should go. I think I've got a demo channel set up, and that's fine. One tip I would recommend trying is if you don't see the channel you want, you can always do a /invite at Centro to add the app to the channel. This is especially true for private channels, so that we know the Centro app knows this channel exists and has the permissions to send to it. Okay, so we can include a message here like see the weekly dashboard. And it will attach. So let's go ahead and activate this. And what this is doing behind the scenes is actually creating a Salesforce flow to run on the schedule and requirements that you set up here in the nudge. This is a nice interface to quickly get that scheduled, and by the way, give you permissions as an admin to people to create their own nudges, and then you can oversee them as a Salesforce admin. Kind of nice, best of both worlds. So I don't want to wait for the scheduled time, so if I ever want to debug this, I can come into Flow. Find our dashboard. They're always prefixed with Centro nudge and then the name of the nudge you created. And then when I click into it, I can always hit run and just test this out without having to wait for the schedule. So let's go ahead and do that. And actually we want to do, as a schedule triggered flow, a debug. So we'll just hit the debug button and hit run. Okay, that looks like it was successful. Let's see what it looks like in Slack. Okay, there it goes. I pressed it twice by mistake. And here is the dashboard in Slack. If we want to examine it, it's nice to press the kind of zoom in button, and then we can zoom in on an element. And then for anyone who wants to actually see the dashboard content, they can always hit view in Salesforce. They will need a Salesforce login to do that, of course, but if you want your team to see something quickly as a dashboard, here's how to do it. So from start to finish, this is how we installed the Centro product, quickly configured it and set permissions to then set up a nudge and send a nudge, in this example, to send a dashboard to from Slack or from Salesforce to Slack. Again, let us know if you have any questions and we're happy to help. Talk to you next time.